Yeah, okay, I get it. I'm really probably on most of your naughty list, but it's the holiday season. What better time to discuss our mutual love of the Toronto Blue Jays from the On Fek Circle, presented by JaysFromTheCouch.com and the Jays from the Couch radio podcast. Episode 282 for the podcast, hosted by our founder and senior editor, Sean Doyle. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of what we do as far as the podcast. That's the primary um, headliner, if you will. We have, of course, JaysFromTheCouch.com with such an in-depth, diverse staff of writers, opinions, analysis. If you're not checking it every day, you need to start questioning your Blue Jay fandom. Now, that's a little bit harsh, but still, you should check JaysFromTheCouch.com every day. And here on the YouTube channel, of course, is the On Fek Circle every other Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And there's Karen Suter and Sunny Side of the Dome. If you're a Blue Jay fan, you want to tune in Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. For right now, since there's a lockout, not much going on, we're alternating. But Karen hosts a show for the rational Blue Jay fan. She knows how to be a fan. She knows how to be a critic. She knows how to meld both of them together. So make sure you tune in to her show. It'll be next Thursday, the Thursday after Christmas, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the YouTube channel. I am your host, the madman across the border, the feckless wonder, Steve Fek. Thank you for making me part of your holiday week. Hopefully, I will not have you trying to pull the batteries out of your laptop or phone, wherever you're actually watching the show. You, of course, can watch live on Facebook. You can follow the feed on Twitter. This is always broadcast and available live on YouTube. There's an archives for all of that. And speaking of the podcast, as I did early, make sure that anywhere that finer podcasts are available, probably where you get your podcast now. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and listen to the Jays from the Couch radio podcast. We're going to sort of have a holiday theme to this show. It's not going to be all sappy and schlocky. I love the holidays. I got my little snowman. I've got the stocking behind me. So I try to be festive. But I mean, this is the time of year, I think, also for reflection. So we're going to get into a little bit of that. I'm kind of reviving my Blue Jays Way segment for this particular show. Not sure how long it's going to last. I mean, I think once the things are said, and things and seeds planted in your mind are planted, there's no need for me to take up too much of your time. Use the time if I end up early checking out last night's podcast or going back to the archives and checking podcasts and Sunny Side of the Dome, even some of my shows. I do want to start off with some general Blue Jays news. The Toronto chapter of the Baseball Writers Association of America, and it is of America as in North America, not America as in United States of America. I know Blue Jay fans get sensitive about that dropping of America kind of thing. We're all on the same continent. Okay, it might be worlds apart, but we're all on the same basic continent. They announced their player awards for 2021. For the most part, I don't think any of them are really surprises. Player of the year was Vladimir Guerrero Jr., runner-up in the AL MVP. I do find it kind of ironic that Vladdy was the overwhelming choice as Blue Jays Player of the Year, yet none of the voting Toronto chapter members thought that Vladdy should be the AL MVP vote, since Shohei Ohtani was a unanimous winner. But that's being petty. That's being picky. It's Christmas. I don't want to dwell too much on that. But I don't think anyone can deny, as wonderful a season as Robbie Ray had, as Marcus Semien had, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was the Toronto Player of the Year. Without Vladimir Guerrero Jr., you're not even sniffing 90 wins, let alone coming that close after getting behind the 8 ball and almost making the playoffs. The pitcher of the year was also selected as the most improved player of the year, and that's Robbie Ray, formerly of the Blue Jays, now of the Seattle Mariners. Again, Robbie Ray, AL Cy Young Award winner, so not a big shock that he is pitcher of the year for the Toronto Blue Jays. I could see someone saying, well, what about Jordan Romano? He was really the only consistent piece in a Blue Jays bullpen all year. I can see someone making that point or that argument. I don't know how convincing that argument would be. But Robbie Ray probably had a career year. Not that he's not going to be good as a Seattle Mariner. He may even be great as a Seattle Mariner. But certainly the year he had was as close to magical for a pitcher as you can have. As far as most improved, it's hard to argue. When you make that kind of transition, and it does bleed for Ray back into 2020, when he got traded over here for whatever reason. And I know people will say, oh, it's Pete Walker. Pete Walker works miracles. And Charlie Montoyo said, I'm giving you the ball every fifth day. Just go out there and pitch. He had already started to make some adjustments when he was still with the Diamondbacks. And he really had no other choice because he was just brutal. But he did carry that over. He had the confidence of the manager and the pitching coach and the organization. He stuck to those adjustments he made. 2020, pitched very, very well. 2021, he was a Cy Young Award winner. And the other award, actually two more awards. Rookie of the Year, no shock, Alek Manoah. Alek Manoah should have been a finalist for AL Rookie of the Year. If you're going to let Wander Franco be considered and he playing 70 games or less, you can't punish Alek Manoah for being really, really good in the limited amount of innings. It's not like he came up in September and was great. He came up mid-year and he was a stabilizing force in the rotation. Was he AL Rookie of the Year? Probably not. But he easily could have bumped Randy Arozarena off from there. Not that Arozarena is not a great player or an exciting player. He played parts of 3 seasons. He played some with the Cardinals. Then he was traded to the Rays, played second half of 2020, and then he was a full-time player in 2021. That's hardly a rookie. That's like giving Ichiro Suzuki, when he came over from Japan in 2001, the Rookie of the Year award. He'd already had 10 years of professional baseball in Japan. And if you want to say, well, it's really more like AAA, you can be picayune if you want. He was a professional baseball player. He had 10 years of experience. He should not have been a Rookie of the Year. And Ichiro Suzuki is one of my all-time favorite players. He shouldn't have been Rookie of the Year. Same thing with Arozarena. I'm not including his time in Cuba because the Cuban national team is not what it once was. So I'm not going to penalize him for being, a linchpin of the Cuban national team for several years. But really, Alek Manoah should have at least been a finalist. But he is, according to the writers in Toronto, the Rookie of the Year and well-deserved. The John Cerruti Good Guy Award went to Marcus Semien. To that, the single biggest critic of the Semien signing, I say bravo. I will not take away from Marcus Semien the fantabulous year that he had in 2021. There is no doubt his influence was a stabilizing factor in the Jays staying the course and eventually getting their legs under them and challenging for a playoff spot in 2021. He has the all-time record for home runs. He absolutely deserves the John Cerruti Good Guy Award. His contributions to the Blue Jays aren't going to just show up in the stat sheet. Yes, he's, again, set home run record, drove in a bunch of runs. He won a Gold Glove. He was so much more than that. So I'm glad to see that that's who was voted. I'm not sure whether these votes went in before the offseason was over or what during the offseason, but either way, it's good to see that he did get some recognition. And some congratulations to a former Blue Jay. Really a pair, though we've already congratulated Alex Anthopoulos on his wheeling and dealing, trademark wheeling and dealing, getting the Braves a World Series championship. But Gibby, John Gibbons, who was announced this week, he is going to earn a World Series ring for his duties as a scout with the Atlanta Braves. It would have been nice if Gibby and AA had won a World Series ring in Toronto if they had actually been given the chance to stick around and do so. But still, congratulations to Gibby. I remember him, as a Mets prospect. He already has a World Series ring from the '86 Mets. Say what you will about his managerial stint. He still, I think, served more years as a manager than anyone. I think he edges out Cito as far as how many years as manager. It was 2 different stints, just like with Cito. I could be wrong with that. I mean, it's quite possible that Cito Gaston managed more years for the Blue Jays than Gibby did, but I think that Gibby has the honor of having managed more years for the Toronto Blue Jays. So let's get back to some holiday musings about the Toronto Blue Jays and the fandom. I want to start off, and this was kind of kicking around in my brain, all week. We'll call it toying with the Blue Jays. If you were Santa or Saint Nick or the Christmas Bunny, or I'm sure given some of the bad things that happened to the Jays, you might say Krampus was distributing gifts to the Blue Jays and the Blue Jays fan base throughout the year. What kind of games would you automatically write down on the list saying this would be perfect to give to the Blue Jays? Certainly Operation. Kirby Yates went down early. George Springer was hurt all year. It just seemed no matter where you turned. Nate Pearson, really, until he eventually had the core surgery after the season. There was a lot of people, a lot of players that suffered the injury jinx. And it seemed in a lot of cases, Springer hurt multiple times, Pearson never getting on track. You were almost like playing Operation, and you were trying to get, the wrenched knee or the, water on the elbow or whatever it is, but you kept hitting the sides and the red nose was going zzz, zzz, zzz. That's what it seemed like. So I think an Operation game, if I was Santa, I'm certainly not Saint anything, so I'll just stick with Santa. That would be the one game that I would automatically think of for the Blue Jays. Another natural game for the Blue Jays is Monopoly, because they are truly an entire country's team. During the summer, they have a monopoly on sports viewing and sports fans' attention. I mean, the Maple Leafs are always going to be in the news, and, depending on the market, the Flames or the Oilers or the Canucks, certainly the Canadians. I think Ottawa fans would rather avoid talking about the Senators, but, hockey is always going to be the shadow over any sport major league sport in Canada, just as the NFL is for MLB now in the States. But they are Canada's team. And that is the one area that Mark Shapiro has focused in on. And not only has done a good job to date, I could only imagine extrapolating it out over the next 3, 4, 5 years, especially if the Blue Jays are in the playoffs each of those years. Shapiro's has a marketing strategy and a business plan in place where maybe the Blue Jays displace every other professional sports team in Canada. Except the Canadians. That's more of a religion than it is a rooting interest. And of course, it doesn't hurt that they're owned by a monopoly, Rogers Communications. I know technically by the letter of the law, they're not technically a monopoly. You really couldn't sue them for monopolistic practices. But that's a technicality. But still, so I think monopoly games would need to go to the Blue Jays every year. How about a game of sorry? You get the little thing and you roll the dice and you're trying to knock the player back to the starting point so that they cannot finish ahead of you. But it seems like karma was playing a game of sorry with the Blue Jays all year long. They got off to a pretty decent start. But then, the bullpen imploded. Despite the promise of pitching depth from Ross Atkins in the front office, the bullpen nearly sidelined. It actually did sabotage and cripple the Blue Jays playoff rush. And the injuries all year. I mean, you signed George Springer, which was one of the best signings in history for the Blue Jays. And he missed the majority of the year. It seemed no matter what, he couldn't catch a break. The only two, really three, consistent players from start to finish, well, four. Okay, well, so the Mount Rushmore of consistency was Vladdy, Robbie Ray, Marcus Semien, Jordan Romano. Other than that, you had no idea really what was going to happen next. And along those same lines, certainly the Blue Jays were playing go fish all year. Atkins was basically sitting down and having to ask not only people within the organization to see what might be at the minor league levels, but trying to flush out what might be on the market. And he left the relievers? Oh, go fish? Okay, we're going to wait till June or July, I guess. Got the third baseman. Kevin Biggio, Santiago Espinal, Breivik Valera, who I still can't believe I'm actually saying Breivik Valera had an entire year, for the most part, with the Major League franchise. It seemed you never knew who was going to play third base. So the Blue Jays were constantly playing go fish all year, trying to catch up for player performances that fell short or trying to make up for what they did not acquire in the offseason, whether it be via trades or free agency. So 2021 was a game of go fish all year for the Toronto Blue Jays. The most apropos gift I think you could give to any Blue Jays fan or any Blue Jays player, management personnel, was a yo-yo. Things were up and down all year. And sure, you had some pretty fancy tricks. You had the great year by Vladdy and Marcus Semien, and Robbie Ray was rocking the cradle and mowing down pitchers. It was a yo-yo of a season. As a Blue Jay fan, I certainly experienced it here doing this show or, writing for JFtC.com. I think all of the couchers felt like they were on a yo-yo all year long. Oh, wow, they got a 5-game winning streak. Oh, no, another injury. Oh, but the bats are really going. If I got the bats going, oh, my God, the bullpen can't get anybody out at crucial times. It just never seemed to stop. It was yo-yo, yo-yo. So the baseball Santa, the baseball gift givers, that's what they were focusing on. Now, there is one toy that I don't know that necessarily applies to the 2021 Blue Jays, but it's going to serve as a bridge to our next part of the discussion. In the Blue Jays fan base, and it's for the most part broken down by age. You got old guys like me, traditionalists, younger guys that grew up with analytics and all of that. It's really Matchbox cars versus Hot Wheels. Now, for you younger kiddies, you probably don't even know what Matchbox cars are. But they were actual real facsimiles, die-cast models, if you will, of popular cars. And they started in the UK, so you had a lot more of like post-World War II, steamrollers and equipment like that. But you had the cars you would see on the street. Or, if you were driving from London to Birmingham, you would pass these cars on the road. They were exact facsimiles. So for a guy like me, I want an exact facsimile of what baseball should be, as far as statistics and everything. Back of the baseball card, I do like things like Pythagorean theory. I do like things like WHIP, win shares, some of the early analytics. I don't want to know about more Hot Wheels kind of thing. And Hot Wheels came out, in the 60s and just came out and dominated the market. Everybody wanted Hot Wheels now. Doesn't matter how well crafted Matchbox car was. Hot Wheels was the thing, and they still are. But they have like little flames always painted on it, or there's some kind of odd color. They've got some kind of fin on the back. They're not really the actual car. It's a trumped up, fancified version of that car. So a lot of the discussions and analysis of players that we all have on social media, on this platform, sitting at a bar or at the dinner table talking baseball, a lot of it breaks down to Matchbox versus Hot Wheels. We want all the bells and whistles and the fancy things, and look how cool this looks, and this goes much, much faster, and it's much flashier. Or it's Matchbox. At the end of the 162-game season, either you won more games than your opponents or you didn't. You either made the playoffs or you didn't. I don't care how flashy it was. Marcus Semien is Hot Wheel. Robbie Ray, more of a Matchbox car. Alec Manoah, very much a Matchbox car. So Nate Pearson would be a Hot Wheels car because he has all the stuff in it. It's just so great to watch, but somehow it never seems to deliver. And I bring this up because the holidays and Christmas are a time for families. And really, fans, no matter where they live, whether you're in the Great White North, native Canadian, where the Blue Jays are based, or you're a guy like me that came to the team relatively, not really later in life, but I've been a Blue Jay fan longer than anything else. But it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, there's great groups in the UK and in Scotland that are Blue Jay supporters. They love the team. It's a family. It's a family dynamic. And you're not really going to agree all the time. Here with Jays from the couch, I am the outlier. Okay. I'm out in left field. I'm that little league player that really loves baseball and loves to play, loves to talk the game. But, the coach and, the other players are like, oh, yeah, but, he's just an idiot. He just stinks. We'll stick him in the left field. Nobody hits the left field. Or actually, probably even more right field. Because in the Little League, there aren't that many left-handed hitters. So you really stick a guy like me in right field. Doesn't matter how hard I work, how much I love the team, or whatever it is. It doesn't translate for other Blue Jay fans. Does it mean that I don't love writing and doing shows for Jays from the Couch, and that I don't truly cherish the friendships and the bonds with my fellow staff members? Of course I do. Social media. It's okay to express an opinion that either is not popular or doesn't go along with everybody else. That's fine. Those good kind of conversations are great. It deepens that love of the Blue Jays that we have. And when I say the next thing, I'm just as guilty as anyone at times. I do lose my composure sometimes and perhaps say more hateful things than I would like. But just because I like a particular player, Tanner Roark, Randall Grichuk, whoever it is, I was a big supporter of Kevin Biggio before he got to be the third baseman. It doesn't mean that I'm wrong or evil. I am speaking not necessarily just an opinion. I'm relaying to you the truth as I understand it. It doesn't mean that I'm always right. And I don't want to necessarily even change your mind to my way of thinking. I just want to point out things. And I tend to point out things that are not maybe commonly thought of or whatever it be. And there's a lot of people out there like that. Families have disagreements. Sometimes people are away. If you look over my shoulder here, you'll see a picture of myself and three of my closest friends. One of those people, Pierre Wheaton, is no longer with us. It doesn't take away the shared experience that we had at that concert. He's just not there anymore. We're always going to love Robbie Ray or Marcus Semien or Josh Donaldson. We might not admit it. We might begrudgingly, whisper it. Oh boy, I really like Josh Donaldson, because it's not, he left. They're not part of our team anymore. But we're all a family. And that kind of dynamic that you see in a picture like back there, or that you encounter on social media, or that you listen to, whether it be on sports radio, whether you're reading articles on JFtC or other competitors, whether you're watching a show like this, we need to stay focused on the fact that we are a family. Some people want the traditional, like me, that's their favorite cap. Some people like the logo on Mr. Snowman here. Some people like the Angry Bird J. Some people like the blue. And there's even some people, and I don't understand why, that like the new baby blue uniforms. I don't get it. Doesn't matter. We wear these hats, no matter what the logo is or style is, to show our love and our support, our community as Blue Jay fans. Doesn't matter if you're not a Canadian. Doesn't matter if you're not an old man like me who's seen baseball and remembers baseball when they were in Toronto Blue Jays. So this holiday season, let's try to take a deep breath and say, boy, you know what? That feckless wonder is a real dope, but he does love the Blue Jays. And carry that and share that and promote the fan. I'm out of time. Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas. Happy New Year. I will not be back on until after the New Year. Karen Suter, 7 p.m. next Thursday with Sunny Side of the Dome. Every Monday, we do have the podcast, Jason the Couch radio podcast, hosted by Sean Doyle. Thank you for making me part of your Blue Jay fandom and Blue Jay family. We'll talk at you again after the first of the year. Have a safe, happy, and very Blue Jays Christmas.